My name is Laura. I spent my whole life in my twin sister's shadow, until I uncovered her darkest secret. She wasn't just living a lie. She was living two lives. And when I exposed the truth, I didn't just destroy her world, I finally claimed my own. Please subscribe so that you will not miss any of our weekly family betrayal and revenge stories. Also, like our videos, it helps our channel grow. Thanks. Welcome back to the story. Growing up in Huntsville, Alabama, meant backyard barbecues, Friday night football, and knowing all your neighbors by name. But for me, it also meant being half of a matching set. Lacey and I were born 6 minutes apart, me first, though you'd never guess it. From the moment we could walk, people called us the twins, as if we were one person with two shadows. We wore the same dresses, had the same freckles, and could finish each other's sentences like a party trick. Our mom loved dressing us alike for church, ruffled socks, pastel bows, even identical lockets. And everywhere we went, people gushed over how darling we looked. But what they really meant was how darling Lacey looked. Lacey was sunshine. Always smiling, always charming, always knowing what to say to make people love her. She had this way of tilting her head and blinking those wide, blue eyes that made even the meanest teachers melt. I remember once, in the 3rd grade, she broke the class fish tank during recess. By the end of the day, I was the one apologizing for it, and I did. Because that's what I always did, clean up behind Lacey. Smile when she shined. Fade when she needed the spotlight. It wasn't always resentment. For a long time, it felt natural. She loved the attention, I preferred the quiet. She wanted to be a performer, a cheerleader, a preacher's wife. I just wanted to be left alone with my books and my thoughts. But the older we got, the heavier the comparisons became. Lacey made varsity cheer her sophomore year. I joined yearbook staff. She dated the quarterback. I tutored him in algebra. She won prom queen. I took the photos. And every step of the way, people would say, "Aren't you two identical?" Like it was some kind of joke. Our parents adored her. Not that they didn't love me, but with Lacey, it was always more. More praise. More photos on the wall. More patience when she messed up. When she came home past curfew, it was she must have lost track of time. When I did it once, it was "You're smarter than this, Laura." I started wearing my hair different just to break the mirror between us. I dyed the ends black senior year. Got a tattoo on my ankle the day I turned 18. Lacey called it unladylike, but I didn't care. I needed to feel separate. Still, no matter how different I tried to be, I couldn't escape her shadow. Lacey was the light in every room, and I was the reflection, bouncing whatever was left. But reflections? They see everything. They notice the cracks before anyone else does, and the day I noticed a crack in Lacey's perfect world, I looked a little closer. What I saw, it changed everything. It came on a Tuesday. I was sorting invoices at work, half listening to the radio in the back office, when my phone buzzed with a new voicemail. Unknown number. Georgia area code. I almost deleted it without listening. But something made me tap play. A woman's voice spilled through the speaker, rushed, breathless, and laced with desperation. "Hey, Lacey. It's Savannah. You've been ignoring my texts." Trent's asking questions, and I don't know what to tell him. He's starting to think something's off. "You need to call me back, okay? We need to talk about the baby." Click. I sat there, frozen. The name, Lacey. Not Laura. And that voice. She sounded like she knew my sister. The way people do when they've shared secrets. I replayed the message. Trent. Baby. Ignoring my texts. My stomach tightened, probably a mistake. A wrong number. There are other Laceys in the world, right? Still, I couldn't shake the edge in her voice. An hour later, an email hit my inbox. No subject line. Just a blank message with 4 photo attachments. I clicked on the first one, and nearly dropped my phone. Lacey, smiling. Pregnant. Wearing a fitted floral dress and a wedding band I'd never seen before. Her arm was wrapped around a man I didn't recognize, dark hair, oil-stained jeans. A hand resting gently on her stomach. Photo 2, Lacey at a backyard barbecue, holding a lemonade, kissing the same man on the cheek. Photo 3, a nursery. Soft blues. A name plaque on the wall, Baby T. Carter. Photo 4, a selfie. Lacey again, but this time with a name tag. It read, Cameron. I felt like the air had been sucked from the room. Cameron? I scrolled back to the voicemail. The dots began connecting faster than I could process them. Lacey, or Cameron, was living a whole other life. Somewhere with this Trent guy. And she was pregnant. My hands were trembling as I stared at the photos again. The same face I saw every day, my twin, now twisted in a world I didn't recognize. I called her. It rang twice before going to voicemail. I texted, call me now. She replied minutes later, can't. At a church thing. You okay? A church thing. Of course. She was probably standing next to Andrew, the mayor's son, smiling like nothing was wrong. Like she wasn't splitting her life between 2 men, 2 towns, and 2 lies. I didn't respond. That night, I sat in the dark and looked at those photos until my eyes blurred. My twin sister, the golden girl, the preacher's dream, the one Mama said I should learn from, was hiding something big. Something that didn't line up with the woman she pretended to be, and somehow, I wasn't sure if I was more shocked or impressed, because Lacey had always lived in the light, but this was a storm, and I'd just been handed the first drop. By Friday, I couldn't take it anymore. Lacey stopped replying to my texts. She dodged my calls with excuses about youth group meetings and planning her engagement party. I sat through dinner with our parents while she smiled across the table like she wasn't hiding a nuclear bomb in her belly, so I made a choice. I called in sick and drove 2 hours southeast to Gadsden with nothing but an address I scraped from one of the photo file names, 1123 Claymore Road. It wasn't much, but it was enough. The neighborhood was modest. Quiet. A mix of weathered ranch-style homes and fresh picket fences. I parked 2 houses down and watched, and there she was, Lacey, pregnant. Hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. Wearing an oversized flannel and leggings. Not polished or pageant-ready. Just ordinary. She opened the front door holding a grocery bag and kissed the man who took it from her. Trent, I assumed, and then I heard it. Thanks, babe, she said, her voice soft and southern sweet. Cameron's cooking tonight. Cameron, I didn't know whether to laugh or scream. That was her name here. Cameron. Like she was some actress in a community play that got way too real. The fake name. The bump. The boyfriend. The rented house. This wasn't just a secret, it was a separate life. I sat frozen in the car, watching her touch her stomach while Trent rubbed her back and said something that made her laugh. It was domestic. Intimate. Real, and the part that hit the hardest? She looked happy in a life she never breathed a word about to me. To our parents. To Andrew, the boy she was supposedly engaged to back home. The one Mama was already calling our future son-in-law. I stayed for almost an hour. Just watching. Neighbors waved at her. Someone handed her a baby shower invite. She wasn't hiding here. She was settled. Embedded. This wasn't a fling or a side story. It was a full-on second chapter. Eventually, I drove off before I got caught staring like a stalker. The ride back to Huntsville felt surreal. Like I'd just witnessed a dream version of my sister, one I never knew existed, and in the pit of my stomach, something twisted. It wasn't just the lies. It wasn't even the cheating. It was the effort, the planning. The manipulation. The fact that she could look our family in the eye, plan a church wedding with Andrew, and then go play house with Trent like it was just another weekend trip. Lacey didn't slip into this by accident, she chose it, and for the first time in my life, I didn't see her as the golden girl. I saw her for what she really was, a liar. A manipulator. A woman with 2 faces, and no shame, and I knew right then, this wouldn't stay buried forever, not if I had anything to say about it. back in Huntsville, nothing looked different, but everything felt different. I passed the church on my way home, the same one where Lacey taught Sunday school and planned her perfect wedding with Andrew. From the outside, she was still the hometown sweetheart, the girl who brought banana pudding to potlucks and prayed with old ladies after service. But I knew better now. Every smile, every giggle, every bow of her head in prayer, it was all a performance. Because just a few counties over, my sister was Cameron, Trent's fiancé, glowing with pregnancy. Living a lie wrapped in baby blue nursery paint, I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her standing on that porch, barefoot and beaming, as if she hadn't built her life on betrayal. The next morning, I confronted her. I didn't even wait. Just showed up at her door before breakfast, holding my phone with the photos open. "You want to explain this?" I asked. Lacey blinked once. No panic, no shock. Just irritation. "You went to Gadsden?" she said, stepping outside and closing the door behind her. "You followed me?" "Don't flip this," I snapped. "You're pregnant. With someone else's baby. You're engaged to 2 people. What the hell, Lacey?" She sighed. Like I was the one being dramatic. "It's not that simple." "It looks pretty simple to me." She sat on the porch swing and patted the spot next to her. "I didn't sit. Trent thinks I'm divorced," she admitted. "He doesn't know about Andrew." "And Andrew?" "He doesn't know about any of it. But I've got it under control." "Under control?" I repeated, laughing bitterly. "You're engaged to 2 men and lying to both. How do you think this ends?" She looked up at me, those big blue eyes suddenly wet. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. I wanted a backup plan. A different life. Trent was easy. Simple. He didn't care about church politics or Daddy's approval. But Andrew? He's everything our family ever wanted for me." "And what about me?" I asked. "What does that make me in all this?" "Your lookout. Your alibi." She stood then, wiping her eyes. "No. You're my sister. You're supposed to have my back." That hit me harder than I expected. Because for so long, I did have her back. Always. "Even when I shouldn't have. I need time," she said. "Just don't say anything yet. Please." I didn't agree. I didn't say no either. I just walked away. For the next few weeks, I kept my mouth shut. Smiled through dinners. Nodded at wedding plans. Pretended I wasn't carrying the weight of someone else's sins. But silence has a way of festering. It doesn't stay quiet, it whispers, and in those whispers, something inside me started to splinter, because keeping her secret wasn't loyalty anymore, it was complicity, and the longer I stayed silent, the more I became a liar, too. It was a Sunday after church when Lacey made her grand announcement. The whole family was gathered at Mama's house, pot roast on the table, sweet tea in mason jars, sunlight pouring through the kitchen window like it was all staged for a Southern magazine. Spread. And then Lacey stood up, cleared her throat, and held out her hand. The ring caught the light first, gold, delicate, with a diamond that glittered like her smile. "Andrew proposed last night," she said, voice thick with emotion. And I said yes. The room erupted in gasps and cheers. Mama started crying. Daddy hugged her so hard she squealed. Even Grandma Hazel clapped like it was the second coming. Everyone gathered around her, oohing over the ring, asking about dates and colors and cake flavors. And me? I stood in the corner, stomach curdling like sour milk, because just days earlier, I'd seen another ring. A plain silver band on her finger in Gadsden. Trent's ring. The one she wore while rubbing her pregnant belly and calling herself Cameron. This wasn't just a double life anymore. She wasn't torn between 2 choices. She was playing 2 lives, 2 men, 2 towns, 2 versions of herself, and she was doing it flawlessly. No slip-ups. No hesitation. Andrew beamed beside her, proud and clueless. "She didn't even let me get through the whole speech," he joked. She just screamed and kissed me. Everyone laughed. Everyone except me. I watched Lacey carefully. She didn't just look happy, she looked triumphant. Like she'd secured the prize. The political prince. The fancy wedding. The praise of every woman in the church pews who'd been waiting to see who would catch him, and the worst part? She looked right at me during all of it. Held my gaze across the room like it was a challenge. Don't ruin this for me, that's what her eyes said. She pulled me aside later, when the family buzz died down and people were gathering leftovers. I meant what I said before, she whispered. This is temporary. I'm handling it. You're marrying him, I hissed. You're pregnant with another man's baby and you're planning a wedding. She shrugged like it was a minor inconvenience. Trent won't find out. And Andrew never needs to know. Once the baby's born, I'll figure it out. Maybe say I'm miscarried. Or that I'm adopting. I'll make it work. You're insane, I said, voice shaking. No, she replied, cool and calm. I'm surviving. You should try it sometime. That was the moment I realized, Lacey wasn't trapped in a mess. She built it. Designed it. And she was willing to let everyone else pay the price for her comfort, and maybe the family didn't see it. Maybe Andrew didn't either, but I did, and every time that ring caught the light, it wasn't beautiful, it was a warning, because glass can sparkle too, right before it shatters. The more I watched Lacey work a room, the more I realized how deep the roots of her manipulation ran. She didn't just lie, she performed. Every gesture, every word, every perfectly timed tear was a deliberate move. And everyone around her, our parents, Andrew, the ladies at church, were puppets dangling from her strings. One Sunday morning, I caught her in the act. Mrs. Callahan from church had just lost her sister and was struggling with the funeral costs. I overheard Lacey promising to donate part of the wedding fund to help. She squeezed Mrs. Callahan's hands, teary-eyed, so full of fake grace. The woman sobbed with gratitude. An hour later in the car, I brought it up. You really gonna help her with the funeral? Lacey scoffed. Of course not. That's Andrew's donation. I just need them to see me as good Lacey before the wedding. My jaw tightened. You lied to her. She glanced at me sideways, completely unbothered. It's not lying. It's managing perception. Something you've never quite understood. That was the tone she always used. Like I was too naive to play the game. Like she was the clever one for lying, and I was the fool for caring. But the final straw came that Thursday night. We were at her place, supposedly going over wedding seating charts. But really, she was ranting about Andrew's mom wanting a smaller guest list and how exhausting it was being everyone's favorite. You don't get it, she snapped. You've always been the invisible one. You've never had pressure. I laughed, bitter and tired. No, Lacey. I've had pressure. I've had to watch you lie to everyone, every day, and stay silent so I wouldn't ruin your perfect act. That's when she turned cold. You know what your problem is? She said, narrowing her eyes. You're jealous. Always have been. You hate that I get the attention, that they love me more. That Andrew picked me. My heart hammered. I don't want Andrew. I want you to stop pretending you're not living a lie. You're pathetic, she sneered. You live in my shadow and blame me for it. That was it, the breaking point. I stood up, grabbed my purse, and walked out without another word. But in my head, something had clicked into place. This wasn't just about lies anymore. It wasn't even about the baby or the wedding, it was about truth. Lacey had built her kingdom on manipulation, and everyone bowed because they didn't know the real her. But I did. I'd seen it, up close. I knew both faces she wore and the destruction hiding behind that megawatt smile, and for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of the fallout. She called me jealous, fine, let her watch what a pathetic little sister could do when she decided enough was enough, because I wasn't just walking away from her secret anymore, I was about to burn it down. It's strange, the kind of calm that comes before destruction. I didn't rush. I didn't scream. I didn't even cry. I just began collecting. The photos from Gadsden were already on my phone. I printed the one of Lacey and Trent at the barbecue, her belly showing, her arms around his neck. Then the one of the nursery. And the ultrasound photo I'd quietly snapped through a cracked window when she was showing it off to Trent's mom. Next came the text messages. I still had the voicemail from Savannah, and several of Lacey's texts where she slipped, complaining about having to juggle 2 lives or calling Trent her safety net. I took screenshots, each one dated and time-stamped, then I mapped it out. 2 years of lies, 2 lives running parallel, a fake name. A secret pregnancy. 2 engagement rings. I wrote it all out on plain white paper, cold, factual, emotionless. I didn't embellish. I didn't need to. The truth was damning enough. I put Andrew's in a manila envelope, for your peace of mind. Trent's read, you deserve to know. No return address. No fingerprints. The post office was quiet that morning. I wore gloves. Hoodie up. I dropped the envelopes into the mail chute one by one, like they weighed nothing. But they felt like fire in my hands. 2 men. 2 timelines. 1 match. All it needed was a spark. That evening, Lacey called like nothing was wrong. She was finalizing the cake flavors. Should she go with almond or red velvet? Andrew's mom wanted traditional, but Lacey wanted a modern twist. I let her talk, let her spin her fantasy one last time. I hung up without saying goodbye, and I waited. The first explosion came 2 days later. Mama called me crying. Andrew ended the engagement. Just like that. Wouldn't even explain. Lacey's beside herself. I pretended to be shocked. What happened? They had some big fight. She said he found something in the mail. Some photos. Awful lies about her. Lies, I thought. That's what she always called the truth when it didn't serve her. Hours later, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Trent. Not sure who you are, but thank you. I almost built a life with a stranger. I stared at the screen, numb. Relief, guilt, satisfaction, they all hit at once. He'd gotten the package. He believed it. And just like that, the second pillar of her world crumbled. By nightfall, both men were gone. Andrew erased her from social media. Trent posted a single photo, her ultrasound picture torn in half. Lacey didn't know it was me. Not yet, but I knew the truth. You can't live 2 lives forever. Eventually, the cracks show. And when they do, the fire doesn't just burn the liar, it scorches everyone who believed in her. Twin flames, they say, burn brighter, but this time, they left nothing behind but ash. The Golden Girls shattered in one weekend. By Saturday afternoon, the news had swept through Huntsville like a church scandal on fire. 1 minute, Lacey was picking out wedding flowers. The next, she was the center of whispers that echoed louder than Sunday sermons. Andrew broke it off in front of half the church board, according to Mama. He'd walked into the fellowship hall during a wedding planning meeting, holding the photos I sent. He didn't yell. He didn't make a scene. He just placed the envelope on the table, turned to Lacey, and said, I don't know who you are. She chased after him, begging him to listen, sobbing. But he never looked back. By that night, Trent showed up at our childhood home, parked right in front of Mama's rosebushes. He didn't knock. Just stood outside with his arms crossed while Lacey cried on the porch. I watched from my bedroom window as he pulled the ultrasound photo from his wallet and tore it in 2. Then he said something, quiet but sharp, and left. Lacey collapsed onto the porch swing like she'd been shot. The next morning, Pastor Hughes called. Lacey's role in Sunday school was suspended pending further review. Church gossip said one of the deacons had gotten the same envelope Andrew had. Her replacement stepped in that same day. By Monday, Mama wouldn't stop pacing. She blamed some jealous witch for spreading lies, but even she couldn't look Lacey in the eye for long. Daddy stayed quiet, choosing his workshop over conversation. Everywhere Lacey went, eyes followed. Whispers bloomed like weeds behind her back. People she once dazzled now crossed the street to avoid her. The invitations dried up. The calls stopped, and everyone started looking at me. Did you know? Was this just a misunderstanding? Laura, sweetie, you were always the responsible one. I dodged them all with half smiles and vague answers. I didn't confirm or deny. I just let the silence stretch, and people filled in the blanks themselves. One evening, Lacey burst into my room, eyes red and wild. You did this, she hissed. You destroyed me. I stood, calm. No. You did. I just stopped covering for it. She stared at me like she didn't recognize the face in front of her, like she'd forgotten we shared the same features, the same blood. You were supposed to be my sister. I am your sister, I said. But I'm not your scapegoat. Not anymore. She left without another word. That night, I sat outside under the stars, finally free of her shadow. I used to think she was the star of our story, the one everyone loved, but stars fall. And when they do, they burn everything around them on the way down. Lacey wasn't golden anymore, she was ash, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty for watching her fall. Some stories don't end with apologies or redemption, some end with clarity, and that's exactly what I found. In the weeks after everything collapsed, I walked through Huntsville like a stranger finally recognized. For the first time in my life, people called me Laura, not Lacey's sister, not the quiet twin, not the other one. Just me. Mrs. Langston from church handed me a fresh pie one morning and said, "You got a good head on your shoulders, Laura. Take strength to stand in truth." I didn't ask how much she knew. I just thanked her. The town hadn't completely turned on Lacey, but the glow around her had dimmed. No more perfect daughter. No more Sunday school savior. She was a cautionary tale now, someone people whispered about behind closed doors but didn't invite to brunch. She moved in with a cousin in Birmingham for a while. Said she needed space, a fresh start. I didn't argue. I let her go. We didn't talk much after that. And strangely, I didn't miss it, because the truth is, our bond was built more on expectation than connection. We looked the same, but we were never equal. She was raised to shine, and I was expected to reflect it. But a mirror only holds an image, it doesn't belong to the light, and I was done reflecting. I spent more time outside. I joined a book club. I painted my bedroom the soft green the first always wanted but never chose because Lacey hated it. I started planning a solo trip to Savannah, something I'd talked myself out of for years. But now? I didn't need permission. I didn't need her. One afternoon, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror and looked at my reflection. Really looked. Same curls. Same eyes. But the face looking back at me, it was mine now. I don't regret what I did. People say revenge is cruel, but it wasn't revenge that pushed me, it was truth. It was watching someone lie, manipulate, and charm her way through life while good people got hurt in the crossfire. Sometimes the only way to stop a lie is to burn it down, and when the smoke clears, you see who was really standing in the flames, who was built to survive them. Lacey always burned bright, but me, I was the spark that lit the match, and now, in the quiet that followed, I finally found what I never thought I'd have: my own name, my own voice, my own light. I wasn't the shadow anymore, I was the story.